Ladies of Reddit, what is the biggest misconception about your bodies that all men should know? The clitoris is not like a scratch card. I won't come when you try to rub it off. Meanwhile in porno, guy uppercuts woman's clitoris. Moans. Guy uppercuts woman's clitoris. Moans. Foreplay is a few quick jabs. Yeah, the clitoris is basically a speed bag, right? Me not being able to orgasm from penetration doesn't mean I'm not enjoying myself. You are doing a bad job. It took a while to figure out for me, but expecting your partner to orgasm and putting pressure on it can make it so much harder. Like the harder you try, the harder it gets. Just relax and have fun. Not everyone needs to come all the time. Sex is awesome either way. The cum comes back out. My nephew, at 36, just recently learned that the reason his girlfriend goes to the bathroom after sex is to pee, push bacteria from sex out of the urethra, and let the cum come out. So if you are reading this and didn't know, the sperm inside the cum continues its journey after orgasm, but the fluid that transfers the sperm comes back out. We are not sponges. Edit, my nephew's girlfriend told me, not my nephew. I would not have this convo with my nephew. Edit 2, phew, you all do too much. My husband is the youngest of 5 kids. His nephew, referenced above, is the oldest kid of the oldest sibling, and is just a few years different in age from my husband. His girlfriend is my friend, but we still don't typically talk about sex. She mentioned it in an incredulous manner. Can you believe he didn't know? If a woman gets pregnant and the fetus dies, she will need it removed or she will die. If a woman gets pregnant and the embryo ends up in the fallopian tubes, she needs it removed or she will die. The embryo fetus is not viable when it is situated in a fallopian tube. This is not about the body, but my partner thought the wings of the pad stuck to the legs rather than the underwear. Mine thought it stuck right on the vagina like a band-aid. Edit, to explain the thought process, he understood how tampons worked, absorbed and held blood in, so he thought pads worked the same way, just a less intrusive method. Lol. Vaginal discharge is a normal thing. It also changes consistency, i.e., creamy, sticky, or egg white, or color, i.e., white, clear, cloudy white, depending on our cycles. My partner didn't know this was a thing. Appreciate that's not really a misconception though. We got to have a cool conversation about how I can quasi-monitor my vaginal health and hormonal changes by tracking my discharge. He also didn't know periods can be chunky. Edit, thank you for the award. Actually made my day. I'm glad I asked my partner about this. I wish everyone well along their educational journeys. And thank you for all the answer support in the comments on this thread. 3 Edit 2. Thank you for all of the awards and comments. Commenters continuing the education. I'm also learning a bunch here too, and I'm grateful for all of your time here. The amount of times I felt ashamed because of my discharge because I was never told it was normal is embarrassing. I had gone on a food donation camp in a school in a little town and we were teaching children about menstruation, so I asked my group to ask whatever questions they wished to, and one was aghast at the white stuff coming out when she pees. She was so animated at explaining how much came out, haha, she was referring to her vaginal discharge. Took me back to my childhood when I thought I was a whore for having so much, haha, and then I explained that it happens and it's okay as long as it is not accompanied with itching or pain while peeing or a smell like yeast or fish. I told her she should prioritize her comfort and the changes in her body are a good thing and what happens to most people with a uterus. It helps to clean the vagina and keeps her safe. I couldn't advise her panty liners since they are not in the economic class to be able to afford it, which is such a shame. She started to accept this was okay and you could see how comfortable she became and everyone else got excited about growing up and I felt like I was at the cusp of breaking a cycle. You were probably a hero to that little girl. I wish someone sat me down and explained it all. I had to learn it through a period tracking app. I never thought to use panty liners though when my cervical mucus gets crazy. That's actually a really good idea. Aw, thank you, smile. Also same, lol, I learned it through an app despite being in medical school. Yeah, that day was very emotional for everyone and kids are so wonderful at learning, and when you show them they're doing okay, the way they bounce back is astounding. It's okay if a kid takes some more time, of course. I was just glad that I managed to get my point across and help them feel comfortable. Also kudos to the organization that made this possible in the first place. I'm an electrician, surrounded by men all day. One of them legitimately thought we peed out of our clitoris. He's in his 30s, married, and has kids. That's ridiculous. Pee is stored in the balls. Therefore women don't pee. I swear I wish I was making this up, But I had one guy ask me if it's true that our vagina closes when we get to our menopausal age. Like if the hole ceases to be there. No sir, it doesn't. Edit, typo. Also, thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Haha. If they knew how many STDs circulate in retirement communities in places like FL. They are getting busy. As someone who has worked in the villages, FL, I can confirm. Old people still duck. As someone who worked at an adult living facility in a podunk town in Florida, oh, they still duck. I've walked in on one of them going at it. Wife wasn't really in the mood, but her poor hubby was jackhammering as best as he could. I just eased myself out the door without making a sound. Told staff that couple will be skipping their dinner and to leave them be. Not every position works for everybody. For example, I have a tilted uterus, am most comfy and doggy. WTF. I'm in my 30s, married, and have known for years that I have a retroverted uterus, but it never clicked for me that this is why certain positions hurt. Pregnancy really ducks a body up. There's still a lot of stigma about talking about it, but it's not just getting big and then popping out a baby. Your abs can separate, your vagina can tear. Most care kits for new moms involves a lot of numbing spray for her body that is ripped apart. If your wife has recently given birth, she's going to need you to be a superstar of support. Tuning out and letting her take the lead because you can't breastfeed is about the worst thing you can do for your marriage. Yes. Also, the whole 6 weeks after you can have sex again thing is not always true. Even if the doctor declares it's medically safe to have sex, as in it won't cause the women's stitches to rip back open, infection, or bleeding, that really is the bare minimum and the line should be much higher. I personally had a nasty internal tear from birthing my first child and had pain up until about 6 months after. Luckily we found one position that sort of worked for us. Also, the woman may not be psychologically ready. Giving birth can be very traumatizing. Therese, also the whole being touched out thing. One of my friends didn't even want hugs after a few months of breastfeeding. She was sick of being touched. That included her husband as well. I have an 11-month-old, and 2 older kids, and am mostly I finally had to lay down the law with my partner that when he got home from work I need 20 minutes where I leave my phone inside and go do whatever I want and nobody is to bother me unless Therese an arterial bleed or someone is unconscious or dying. Hess excellent at making sure they leave me alone, and often it stretches longer than 20 minutes. I love my kids to pieces, but that 20 minutes is absolute heaven. Parents need alone time, don't let anyone say otherwise. Everyone needs alone time. Having a period doesn't make a child a grown woman. Yep. Had my first period when I was 8 to 9 and definitely wasn't grown then. I was 10. It sucked. I was 100% not prepared and I thought my intestines were coming out. It was also at my dad's house and started in the middle of the night. Frown. That reminds me, I need to get pads for in case my daughter starts her period at my house. Every woman's body is different. Some have sensitive nipples, others have numb. And most will experience soreness occasionally throughout the month due to hormones. Just like the putty cat, vagina, how some women can only climax by clit and others can by penetration. Having open communication and an open mind, best experiences. The clit has gotten my wife and I through some tough times. I love that thing. When my husband got his vasectomy he said, "I'm so glad to this babe, no more babies, no more birth control for you, and no more periods." That not how biology works, honey. Took him a minute to realize his mistake. If I could get a vasectomy to get rid of periods, that'd be sif-ivic. That moment of hope I felt just before logic kicked in, poof. Labia minora, shape and size don't determine tightness. Nor minora. Wingardium Leviosa. Go slower. Take your time. Tease a little, a lot. The build-up is as fun as the main event. Hell yeah. Exactly, that's why I'm undefeated at Jenga. I'm just realizing how erotic that game is.